this is a very, very strange exemption coming from a minister who's supposed to be a custodian of clean governance and accountability. This is the minister who's supposed to guard the public purse, and he's not supposed to be seen to be in any way enabling non-governance, non-compliance, and looting. We actually thought it was an April Fool's joke when we saw it, because it does not at all, it does not make sense. And it's a bad precedent, because once you allow this for one institution, then the others are going to come. All the municipalities that are in trouble, all the SOCs that are in trouble will come and seek the same exemption. If you don't, they take it to court, and you have to then give it to all. So it's a race to the bottom as far as we are concerned. It does not make sense, because the intention of the PFMA is to make sure that the findings is to make sure that the expenditure, fruitless expenditure, wasteful expenditure is disclosed, so that the public can see how Eskom or any other organ of state utilizes the public funds. So by exempting Eskom, you are actually saying they must go and do bad things and not disclose them. So you're actually encouraging bad governance. And then we've seen the note that is trying to explain this, but it's very contradicting itself, because it says this will be disclosed in the annual reports, but not in the annual financial statements. But any funder who wants to fund any organ of state, they're going to read both the financial statements and annual reports. So it does not make sense at all.
Let's get another take on this. We're joined by Stefanie Fick, Accountability Executive Director at the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, or OUTA. Thank you for being with us, as always. Ms. Fick, did you also think perhaps this was some sort of April Fool's joke, although it was signed on the 31st of March?
Yeah, we're laughing at it, but yeah, it did feel like a April Fool's joke. What I would like to start off by saying is that this is not the first time. Transnet was actually given the exact same exemption last year already. But what I think this has done is there's a trust deficit already. I think in general, South Africans are unhappy with, transparency. We don't know what's going on. And specifically at Eskom, we've got load shedding. We hear all these horrible stories about corruption and, we've just gone through state capture. And now this announcement is made that, Eskom doesn't have to report on wasteful and fruitless expenditure, irregular expenditure. Now, although the minister has indicated that there will be conditions, that they still have to report on criminal activities, and that they have to report to it on their annual reports, but not on their financials, as if you don't understand why this step was done, and how will this impact on transparency and the way Eskom is managed.
Can we just help viewers who are just tuning in or haven't been on top of this? Firstly, irregular and wasteful expenditure. I mean, sometimes it's because all the documents aren't signed, all the I's aren't dotted and the T's crossed. Maybe there haven't been 3 quotes. And we know that Eskom has struggled even to get parts. The CEO told us he sometimes has to ask for an exemption applied to Treasury if there's only one supplier of a part for tens of thousands of rands, never mind the huge expenditure that is being delayed because of red tape. So could it be aimed at that? But then it's going much further, because sometimes irregular, wasteful expenditure can simply be corrupt. Am I right?
That's correct. So irregular expenditure is the expenditure where you didn't follow the procedures and didn't cross the necessary T's and dot the I's. wasteful and fruitless expenditure is really expenditure that was made, but that could have been stopped if you reasonably looked at it. So that's the wasteful expenditure was actually not needed. And then you have the criminal activities. The question is, but why is it in the PFMA in the first place? I don't think that SOE should struggle to get their business done. But why is it in the PFMA? Yes, in terms of the PFMA, there can be some exemptions, but one really wonders why now. So I think as an organization, what we've decided is that we need clarity on why this decision was made and what is the practical implications. Because you can talk about the PFMA. Will the PFMA we've seen will not stop corruption, will not stop fraud, will not stop all the shenanigans that happened at Eskom. But why the exemption? So I think I want to go back to, I think it's this trust deficit and the fact that, under normal circumstances, I think we would trust government to make the best decisions for South Africa. But the reason why this has now created the storm is that really we just don't trust. It is, what is this all about? What are we hiding and why are we doing it? So yes, Eskom should be able to run the business in the best interest of Eskom and then South Africa. But then on the other hand, why do we have these regulations? Shouldn't we look at the reasons therefore, instead of just exempting Eskom from reporting on especially irregular and fruitless and wasteless expenditure.
And speak about that trust deficit in light of the former CEO saying that Eskom is losing 1 billion rand a month to corruption and fraud. So do you believe people are rightfully concerned that this could become a way of hiding corruption and fraud?
Unfortunately, I think that is what people jump to, is that what on earth is going on? I think due to the fact that there's so much corruption and the fact that Eskom is in the position it is because of corruption that is still going on there, the amount of money that is wasted and lost every month. On the one hand, you can say that, reporting in terms of the PFMA hasn't stopped corruption and maladministration in the past. Now, if they don't report, what on earth is going to happen? So that's the negative. I think what we should see from this is, firstly, there's a lesson for government. You need to work on your relationship with South Africans, because South Africans is actually telling you something. We are so concerned about what is happening with, for example, the finances at Eskom, that this is creating a storm. And on the other hand, that you need to be transparent about the reasoning. What is this non-reporting going to help you? Is it going to assist you in signing the contracts and getting Eskom in a better position? And why would reporting do that? So I really think, although Treasury was trying to say that this was not not to be transparent, I think they've created the opposite reaction, is that we just don't know what on earth is going on now. So be transparent and tell us, and be transparent in how Eskom is spending its money, because whether that's fruitless and wasteful, irregular, should there be any type of that type of expense at all?
Yeah, all right.
So I think it.
And of course, the question will be if this is about red tape, and that's why the Disaster Management Act was used in relation to Eskom. Surely it can be more targeted, but we'll leave it there, and hopefully Treasurer will talk about this very soon, because questions are coming in thick and fast after this government gazette was released. That was Stefanie Fick, Accountability Executive Director at the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA.